First contact with Nemesis. Commander Reyna Valero stood on the observation deck of the UEC Pathfinder, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced polymer viewport. Beyond the glass, a world of azure oceans and emerald landmasses rotated slowly, deceptively peaceful against the black void of space. Nemesis, they'd named it, a joke among the crew that had stuck. Fourth planet from an unremarkable yellow star in the Cygnus Arm, and the first world they'd discovered with a breathable atmosphere since leaving Earth 6 months ago. Commander, you need to see this. Lieutenant Darius Chen's voice pulled her from her thoughts. He handed her a tablet displaying sensor readings from the planet's surface. Biological activity is off the charts, but there's something else. We're detecting artificial structures scattered across the northern continent. Reyna studied the readings, her brow furrowing. Settlements. Are we not alone out here after all? Unknown, Commander. The energy signatures don't match any known technology. They appear dormant, but definitely not natural formations. She tapped the screen, enlarging the image of a hexagonal structure partially buried beneath dense vegetation. Any signs of active civilization? Communications? Spacecraft? Negative. Whatever built these structures appears to be long gone. However, Chen hesitated. Spit it out, Lieutenant. The planet's ecosystem is unlike anything we've ever seen. The biodiversity readings suggest a level of biological complexity that exceeds Earth by an order of magnitude. And there's something else. The life forms appear to be interconnected somehow. Reyna raised an eyebrow. Interconnected. Neural patterns, Commander. They're faint, but unmistakable. It's as if the entire ecosystem shares a distributed nervous system. The observation deck door hissed open, and Colonel Marcus Reed strode in, his expeditionary force uniform crisp despite the weeks in space. Commander Valero, I've reviewed the preliminary reports. My team is ready for deployment. Reyna turned to face the newly arrived military commander. The UEC Pathfinder mission had 2 objectives: exploration and securing potential colony worlds. As mission commander, Reyna led the scientific contingent. Reed commanded the military arm, 500 soldiers equipped with the best weapons and armor humanity had developed. Colonel, I'm not sure a military deployment is wise at this stage. We still don't understand what we're dealing with down there. Reed's expression hardened. With all due respect, Commander, that's precisely why we need boots on the ground. If there are alien structures, we need to secure them before we can study them properly. The mission parameters are clear. I'm aware of the parameters, Colonel. I wrote them. Reyna handed him the tablet. But look at these readings. This planet is different. Reed glanced at the data, unmoved. All the more reason to establish a secure perimeter. My teams will deploy, set up a forward operating base, and secure the nearest structure. Once we've confirmed it's safe, your scientists can have their turn. Reyna knew that look. Reed had already made up his mind, and technically, he had the authority to deploy his forces at his discretion. She could overrule him, but only if she could prove immediate danger to the mission. Very well, Colonel. But I want continuous communication and a phased approach. First wave limited to 50 personnel. And they don't move beyond the landing zone until we've had at least 24 hours to analyze the environment. Reed nodded curtly. Agreed. First drop in 6 hours. The deployment initially went according to plan. 3 dropships delivered Reed's advance team to a clearing 5 kilometers from the nearest alien structure. They established a perimeter and began setting up the forward operating base. Communication was clear, and the soldiers reported no immediate threats. Then came nightfall on Nemesis. What do you mean you've lost contact? Reyna demanded, striding onto the bridge as alarms blared throughout the ship. Communications Officer Park looked up from her console, face pale. All channels went dead simultaneously, Commander. One moment they were transmitting normally. The next, nothing. No distress call, no cut-off transmission. Just silence. Launch the drones. Reyna ordered. "I want eyes on that base now." Minutes later, the bridge crew watched in stunned silence as drone footage revealed the forward operating base. Equipment lay scattered across the clearing. Weapons abandoned. Not a single soldier in sight. "Where are they?" Reed's voice was barely controlled. He had arrived on the bridge moments after Reyna. 50 of my people don't just vanish." The drone operator zoomed in on the base perimeter. "Sir, look at the ground." The soil around the base was disturbed, as if it had been liquid only minutes before. And at the edge of the clearing, where dense jungle began, something moved. Not the wind through leaves, but a deliberate, coordinated motion, as if the entire forest breathed as one organism. "Pull the drone back," Reyna ordered. "Get it out of there now." Too late. A vine, impossibly fast, whipped upward and snatched the drone from the air. The video feed dissolved into static. "I'm deploying the rest of my forces," Reed announced, already moving toward the door. "We're going to find our people." Reyna caught his arm. "That would be suicide, Colonel. We don't know what happened down there, but sending more soldiers blindly won't help." "Those are my people, Commander. And this is my mission," Reyna countered, her voice hard as steel. "We need more information before we risk another deployment." Reed stared at her, jaw clenched. "Then how do you propose we get that information? Every drone we send will likely meet the same fate." Reyna released his arm and straightened her spine. "I'll go myself." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. "A small team," she continued. "Voluntary only. 4 soldiers, 4 scientists, including myself. 1 dropship, heavily armed, but our primary objective is reconnaissance, not engagement." "Commander, that's the only logical solution, Colonel. We can't send more people blindly, but we can't abandon our people either. A small team has the best chance of getting in, gathering intelligence, and getting out without triggering whatever took your advance team." Reed studied her face, looking for any sign of uncertainty and finding none. Finally, he nodded. "I'll accompany you." "No." Reyna's response was immediate. "One of us needs to remain on the Pathfinder. If something happens to me, you'll need to take command and make the hard decisions." Their eyes locked in silent battle of wills. But eventually, Reed conceded the point. "Then I'm selecting your military escort personally. And you're taking Captain Diaz." Reyna nodded. Solana Diaz was Reed's most capable officer, a veteran of the Mars conflict with a reputation for getting her people out alive against impossible odds. Agreed. 12 hours later, Reyna's team made planetfall 3 kilometers east of the abandoned base. Unlike the previous landing site, they touched down in a rocky outcropping with minimal vegetation, hoping to avoid whatever had emerged from the jungle floor. "Stay sharp," Captain Diaz ordered as the squad secured the immediate area. "Nothing touches the ground that doesn't have to. All equipment stays in the ship until needed." Dr. Eleanor Wu, the team's xenobiologist, was already taking samples of the air. Oxygen content slightly higher than Earth norm. Trace elements consistent with preliminary orbital scans. Spore count is high, but nothing immediately dangerous to human physiology. Reyna surveyed the landscape. From their elevated position, she could see across the rolling jungle canopy to where the alien structure jutted above the trees, its hexagonal shape gleaming dully in the morning light. "We move in formation. Soldiers on the perimeter, scientists in the center. We head first to the Kavogi, then reassess." The trek through the jungle was unnervingly quiet. No bird calls, no insect buzzing, just the soft sound of vegetation brushing against their environment suits. Every step felt watched. "The plant life," Dr. Wu whispered after an hour of hiking. "It's moving away from us." Reyna had noticed it too. The undergrowth seemed to part before them, creating a path, while simultaneously closing behind them. "It's hurting us," Sergeant Torres muttered, his rifle trained on the shifting foliage. "Or guiding us," Dr. Wu countered. "There's intelligence here, but not necessarily hostility." Captain Diaz wasn't convinced. Hostile or not, 50 soldiers are missing. Stay alert. They reached the forward operating base by midday. The clearing was as the drone had shown. Equipment scattered, no personnel in sight. But something had changed. The ground was now covered in a thin layer of luminescent blue moss that hadn't been there in the drone footage. "Don't touch it," Dr. Wu warned, scanning the moss with her handheld analyzer. "It's generating a weak electromagnetic field." Diaz gestured to her soldiers. "Secure the perimeter. Torres, Chen, check the command tent. Andrews, with me on the equipment cache." Reyna approached one of the abandoned communication arrays. This was active when they lost contact. If we can access its memory, we might get some clue about what happened. Dr. Catry, their tech specialist, knelt beside her and jacked into the array's diagnostic port. "The system's still operational, just not transmitting. Let me see if I can." His words cut off as the screen flickered to life, displaying the final moments recorded before communication was lost. The video showed the base at dusk, soldiers moving efficiently about their tasks. Then, as darkness fell, the perimeter lights illuminated a strange mist rising from the jungle floor. A soldier approached it, curious rather than alarmed. When he reached out to touch the mist, his hand passed through it as expected. Then the ground beneath him liquefied. The video showed the soldier sinking, not into mud, but into soil that behaved like water, closing over him in seconds. Panic erupted as more patches of ground transformed. Soldiers fired into the earth, into the mist, but their bullets had no effect. The recording ended with a shot of the command tent, where the earth itself seemed to rise up, forming tendrils that pulled the structure downward. "Dear God," Dr. Catry whispered. Reyna's comm unit crackled. "Commander, you need to see this." It was Torres, his voice tight with controlled fear. They found him at the edge of the clearing, staring at the trunk of a massive tree. Embedded in the bark, half absorbed into the living wood, was a human hand, still in its combat glove, fingers splayed as if reaching for help. "It's not just the hand," Torres said quietly. "The whole tree. Look closely." As Reyna stared, she began to make out shapes within the trunk and branches. A helmet here, the curve of a shoulder plate there. Human forms, dozens of them, fused with the living tree. "They're all here," Captain Diaz said, her voice hollow. "The entire advance team." Dr. Wu approached, scanner in hand. "They're still alive," she said, disbelief coloring her words. "I'm detecting neural activity, cardiac functions. The tree hasn't consumed them. It's interfacing with them." Before Reyna could respond, the ground trembled. Not violently, but enough to put everyone on alert. From the direction of the alien structure, a low humming sound began to build. "Back to the ship," Reyna ordered. Now. They hadn't made it 3 steps when the forest floor erupted around them. Not liquefying as in the video, but bursting upward in a shower of soil and vegetation. From beneath emerged creatures unlike anything Reyna had ever seen, part plant, part insect, with translucent bodies that pulsed with internal light. They moved with frightening speed, surrounding the team in seconds. "Hold fire," Reyna shouted as the soldiers raised their weapons. "Don't provoke them." The creatures made no aggressive moves, simply forming a ring around the humans. Then, as one, they turned toward the alien structure and began to retreat, creating an obvious path. "They want us to follow," Dr. Wu said. Captain Diaz shook her head. "Or they're leading us into a trap." Reyna studied the situation. The path back to their ship was now blocked by impenetrable vegetation that hadn't been there minutes before. The only clear route was the one the creatures were indicating, toward the alien structure. "We don't have a choice," she realized aloud. "Whatever intelligence controls this planet has decided our next move for us." As if in confirmation, the ground beneath their feet began to slowly shift, not swallowing them, but pushing them gently toward the waiting creatures. "Stay together," Reyna ordered, making the only decision possible. "We go where they're leading us. Keep communications open with the ship. If we don't return in 24 hours, Colonel Reed has his orders. With the creatures as their silent guides and the living Earth literally moving them forward, Reyna's team ventured deeper into the heart of Nemesis, toward the ancient structure that waited for them, and the answers it might contain about the fate of the missing soldiers and the true nature of this seemingly sentient world. The survivors return. 3 days had passed since Commander Reyna Valero last saw her team alive. 3 days of running, hiding, and fighting for survival on a planet that seemed determined to claim her as it had the others. She crouched in the hollow of a massive root structure, her environment suit torn and crusted with a mixture of dried blood and the luminescent sap that served as the planet's equivalent of blood. Her helmet was gone, lost during her desperate escape from the alien structure. The oxygen tab in her emergency kit kept her breathing, filtering the alien atmosphere, but it would only last another day at most. "Pathfinder, this is Commander Valero," she whispered into her damaged comm unit. "Emergency Protocol 739. Requesting immediate extraction." The words were automatic now, repeated every hour for the past 3 days. No response had ever come. Either the planet was blocking her transmissions, or the Pathfinder was gone. Reyna checked her makeshift weapon. A combat knife lashed to a branch broken from one of the less aggressive trees. Her sidearm had run out of ammunition on the first day, used to fight off the plant-insect hybrids that had turned from guides to hunters the moment she and her team had entered the alien structure. The structure. Reyna closed her eyes, trying to organize her fragmented memories of what had happened inside. The architecture had been beautiful, organic yet precisely engineered, as if grown rather than built. At its center stood a chamber filled with a pulsating crystalline formation that reached from floor to ceiling like a massive faceted tree. Dr. Wu had approached it, entranced, despite Captain Diaz's warnings. When Wu's scanner touched the crystal surface, it had flared with blinding light. In that moment, Reyna had heard, no, felt, a voice in her mind. Intruders, desecrators, like the others. Then chaos erupted. The floor became a churning mass of tentacle-like roots. Dr. Catry was the first to go, pulled under in seconds. Torres opened fire, his plasma rifle cutting through the attacking flora. But for every tendril destroyed, 10 more emerged. Wu was next, then Chen. Diaz had grabbed Reyna's arm, dragging her toward the exit as Andrews provided covering fire. They'd almost made it out when a massive tentacle had burst through Andrews' chest. Diaz had shoved Reyna through the doorway, screaming, "Run," before being pulled back into the maelstrom of writhing vegetation. Reyna had run. For 3 days, she'd been running, hiding, and trying to make sense of what she'd experienced. The voice in her head hadn't been hostile, exactly. It had been defensive, afraid. A soft rustling sound snapped her back to the present. Something was moving through the undergrowth nearby. Reyna tightened her grip on her makeshift spear, ready to fight or flee. A figure stumbled into view, humanoid but definitely not human. Nearly 2 meters tall, with 4 arms and skin that shifted color like a chameleon, matching the vegetation around it. Its large, compound eyes swiveled independently, scanning the environment. One of its arms ended in a stump, a viscous blue fluid seeping from the wound. Reyna recognized the species from the Pathfinder's xenobiology database, a Vashni, from a star system 15 light-years from Earth. The UEC had established diplomatic relations with them 2 years ago, though interactions had been limited. What was a Vashni doing on Nemesis? The alien hadn't noticed her yet. It was clearly injured, moving with difficulty and stopping frequently to lean against trees for support. Reyna weighed her options. If the Vashni was hostile, she was in no condition to fight. But if it was as stranded as she was, perhaps they could help each other. Decision made, she emerged slowly from her hiding place, keeping her weapon visible, but not threatening. "Hello," she called softly in Standard, hoping the Vashni understood the trade language. The alien world, its good arms raising something that looked disturbingly like a weapon. Reyna froze, holding up her free hand in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I am Commander Reyna Valero of the United Earth Consortium vessel Pathfinder," she said carefully. "I mean you no harm." The Vashni's colors rippled, shifting from green-brown camouflage to a startled blue before settling into a cautious yellow. It lowered its weapon slightly. "Human," it said, the word distorted by vocal apparatus not designed for standard, but understandable. "You survive. Others not." "My team is dead," Reyna confirmed. "Are you alone? Where is your ship?" The Vashni made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "Ship gone. All gone. Only Tsavik remains." It tapped its chest with one of its intact arms. "Tsavik survives 7 cycles. You survive how long?" 3 days, Reyna answered. 7 cycles could mean anything in Vashni time measurement, but the implication was clear. This alien had been surviving on Nemesis far longer than she had. 3 days, Tsavik repeated, colored shifting to what might have been an impressed purple. "Good. Strong. Come." It gestured with one arm, indicating she should follow. "Where are we going?" Reyna asked, not moving. "Safe place. Planet sleeps soon." "Not good outside when planet sleeps." Reyna hesitated. Trust didn't come easily after what she'd witnessed, but she had few options. The alien clearly knew more about surviving on this world than she did. "Lead the way," she finally said. Tsavik brought her to what appeared to be a small cave in a rocky outcropping. Inside, Reyna was surprised to find evidence of long-term habitation. A sleeping area, crude tools, even a makeshift water filtration system crafted from what looked like ship components and local plant material. "You've been here a while," Reyna observed. Tsavik settled carefully on a bed of dried vegetation. "Vashni exploratory fleet find this world 1 year past. Send soldiers to claim. Planet take them. Send more. Planet take them too. My ship last. Now all gone." The scenario was disturbingly familiar. The same thing happened to us. We found alien structures. Yes. Ancestor nodes. Planet's memory. Memory. You mean the structures are some kind of data storage. Tsavik's colors shifted to a thoughtful blue. More. Ancestor nodes are connection points. Planet thinks through them. Remembers through them. Reyna sat on a stone across from the alien, processing this information. "The planet is sentient. Conscious. Yes. No. Not like you. Me. Different. Bigger. Slower." Tsavik made a gesture encompassing everything around them. "All life here. One organism. One mind. Trees, animals, soil, all connected. All part of planet." "A hive mind," Reyna murmured. "That explains the neural patterns our sensors detected." She looked at Tsavik directly. "But why attack us? We weren't threatening it." Tsavik's colors darkened. "Others came before. Long ago. Harvested. Destroyed. Planet remembers. All newcomers are threat. It's defending itself," Reyna realized. "It saw our technology, our weapons, and assumed we were like these others who harmed it before. Yes, planet afraid. Planet angry." Reyna thought of the voice she'd heard in the alien structure. Intruders. Desecrators. Like the others. But it didn't kill everyone. Some of our people were absorbed into the trees. They were still alive. Tsavik nodded, its movements becoming more animated. "Planet learns. Studies. When it takes you, it learns you. Your thoughts. Your memories." The alien pointed to its own head. "Tsavik communion with planet. Show planet that Vashni not like ancient enemies. Show planet that Tsavik only want knowledge, not destruction." "You communicated with it. How?" "Ancestor nodes. Touch crystal. Open mind. Dangerous. Planet can take you if it wishes. But if strong, if honest, planet listens." Hope flickered in Reyna's chest for the first time in days. and it let you go. Not just let go. Protect. Help. Saavik gestured to the cave around them. Planet guides Saavik to food, warns of dangers. In return, Saavik teaches Planet about stars, about other worlds, about species that might come. A symbiosis, Reyna said, the scientist in her fascinated despite her desperate situation. But if you've established this relationship, why are you still here? Couldn't the planet help you leave, contact your people? Saavik's colors dimmed to a somber gray. No technology remains. Ships destroyed. Communication devices destroyed. Planet cannot build these things. Reyna's mind raced, considering possibilities. My ship might still be in orbit. If I could contact them. Planet blocks signals. Saavik interrupted. Fears more will come if signals leave. But the alien hesitated. But what? If Planet trusts you, as trusts Saavik, perhaps it allows signal. Perhaps it helps. Reyna stared at the alien, understanding dawning. I need to commune with it. Like you did. Dangerous, Saavik warned. If Planet sees threat in your mind, it takes you. Forever. I don't have much choice, Reyna said grimly. My oxygen will run out tomorrow. I either convince this planet to help us, or I die here. Saavik studied her for a long moment, its colors shifting through a spectrum Reyna couldn't interpret. Finally, it nodded. We go when Planet wakes. To nearest ancestor node. Saavik helps. Saavik teaches how to open mind without losing self. The nearest ancestor node was half a day's journey from Saavik's cave. As they traveled, the alien taught Reyna what it knew about communicating with the planetary consciousness. Not words, Saavik explained as they carefully picked their way through a field of what appeared to be giant pitcher plants. Images, feelings, truth cannot lie to Planet. It knows. What should I show it? Reyna asked. Why you come, what you seek, what you offer in return. And what do we offer? Saavik stopped, turning all four of its eyes toward her. Knowledge. Protection. Many species in Galaxy would harvest Planet if they find it. Destroy it for resources. Planet needs allies who understand its value beyond minerals, beyond biological components. Reyna nodded slowly. A diplomatic mission. We convince it we're potential friends, not exploiters. Yes, but must be truth. If you plan to return with harvesters, Planet will know. Reyna thought of the UEC's expansion protocols. Yes, they were interested in resources, but not at the expense of sentient life. If Nemesis was truly sentient, it would fall under the protection of the Sentient Rights Accord. I can make that promise truthfully, she said. They reached the ancestor node by midday, a structure similar to the one Reyna had seen before, but smaller, partially buried beneath a massive tangle of vines and roots. Planet protects its nodes, Saavik explained, but will open path for those it allows. As if on cue, the vegetation began to move, untangling itself to reveal an entrance. Inside, the same crystalline formation pulsed with inner light, though this one was only about 2 meters tall. What do I do? Reyna asked, her mouth suddenly dry. Touch crystal. Open mind. Show truth. Saavik's colors shifted to a reassuring blue. Saavik will anchor you. Help you return if Planet pulls too deep. Taking a deep breath, Reyna approached the crystal. Its surface hummed with energy she could feel even before her fingers made contact. She glanced back at Saavik one last time, receiving a nod of encouragement, then pressed her palm against the cool, faceted surface. The world disappeared. Reyna found herself floating in a vast ocean of consciousness. Images, emotions, and memories that weren't her own flowed around and through her. She felt the slow, patient thoughts of ancient trees, the quick, bright sparks of insect-like creatures, the steady rhythm of the planet's core pulsing like a heart. Who you? Why youth? Threat, no threat, purpose, intention, truth. The questions came not as words but as concepts, pressing into her mind with irresistible force. Reyna didn't try to resist. Instead, She opened herself fully, showing the planet everything. Earth, humanity's expansion to the stars, their initial fear and wonder upon discovering alien life, their gradual growth toward cooperation with species like the Vashni. She showed the Pathfinder mission, its dual purpose of exploration and securing potential colony worlds. She didn't hide humanity's need for resources, but emphasized their developing ethics around sentient rights. She showed the Sentient Rights Accord, the legal framework that protected intelligent life from exploitation. Others before pain, destruction, death. Images flooded back to her, another species, insectoid and ruthless, landing on Nemesis eons ago. They had harvested without care, stripped entire regions of life, poisoned the soil with their industrial processes. The planet had fought back as best it could, but it had been young then, its consciousness still developing, its defenses primitive. You different, not different, how, no, trust, why. Reyna showed her own losses, her team, killed by the planet's defenses. She showed her anger, her grief, but also her understanding. She showed her willingness to learn, to communicate instead of conquer. She showed the possibility of alliance, humanity and Vashni protecting Nemesis from exploiters, in exchange for controlled, sustainable access to knowledge and limited resources. Interesting possibility, risk, hope, fear. The alien consciousness weighed her proposal, sifting through her memories for any sign of deception. Reyna felt it touch her core values, her deepest beliefs about the relationship between intelligent species and the worlds they inhabited. Finally, a decision crystallized in the vast mind. Reyna felt something shift, like a key turning in a lock. Agreement, trial, chance, opportunity, watch, learn, grow together. With that final concept, Reyna was gently but firmly pushed back into her physical form. She gasped, staggering as her consciousness slammed back into her body. Savick caught her with two of its arms, steadying her. "Planet spoke to you," the alien said, not a question. "Yes," Reyna confirmed, her voice hoarse. "It agreed to a trial alliance." Savick's colors brightened to a joyful yellow. "Good. What now?" Before Reyna could answer, the crystal behind her pulsed with renewed light. The entire structure hummed, and from somewhere deep beneath them came a rumbling vibration. "What's happening?" she asked, alarmed. Savick's colors shifted to surprise, then understanding. "Planet acts. Planet healths." Outside the structure, the ground trembled. Trees bent, their branches weaving together to form a massive living antenna reaching toward the sky. At the same time, Reyna's damaged comm unit crackled to life. "Commander Valero, this is Pathfinder. Do you copy?" "Repeat, Commander Valero. This is Pathfinder. We are receiving an unusual signal from your location. Please respond." With shaking fingers, Reyna pressed the transmit button. "Pathfinder, this is Commander Valero. I read you. Request immediate extraction for myself and one Vashni survivor." "Commander." Colonel Reed's voice was thick with relief. "We've been searching for days. What happened down there? Where is the rest of your team?" "Gone, Colonel. I'll explain everything when I'm aboard. But prepare the diplomatic suite. We're about to make first contact with a new form of intelligence." 1 month later, Reyna stood once again on the observation deck of the UEC Pathfinder, watching Nemesis recede as the ship prepared for its jump back to Earth space. Beside her stood Savick, now officially recognized as both a refugee and the first ambassador of what the UEC was calling the Nemesis consciousness. "Will your people honor agreement?" Savick asked, its colors a concerned violet. "Will they protect planet?" "The Sentient Rights Accord is clear," Reyna assured the alien. "Once a life form is classified as sentient, it cannot be harvested or exploited without consent. The data we've gathered proves beyond doubt that Nemesis qualifies." She didn't mention the heated debates that had erupted among the Pathfinder's crew and leadership. Some, like Reed, had argued for quarantining the planet entirely, deeming it too dangerous for contact. Others had seen only the potential resources, dismissing the evidence of sentience as merely complex biological responses. But in the end, the truth had been undeniable. The planet had not only communicated but had demonstrated reasoning, memory, and ethical consideration, all markers of true intelligence. The fact that it had released the absorbed soldiers once it understood humanity's intentions had been particularly compelling evidence. They weren't the same, those who had been taken. They spoke of strange dreams, of experiencing life as trees, as insects, as soil. Some had requested to stay behind, fascinated by the communion they'd experienced. Others had returned to the ship, forever changed by their time as part of the planetary consciousness. What will happen now? Savick asked, breaking into Reyna's thoughts. A permanent research station will be established in orbit. No military presence, as we agreed. Limited, supervised landings for scientific and diplomatic purposes only. Reyna turned to the alien, her expression serious. And we'll broadcast the coordinates to your people as well. Perhaps this can be the beginning of a three-way alliance. Savick's colors shifted to a contemplative blue. Three-way. No. Four-way. Humans, Vashni, planet. And those absorbed who stayed. They are becoming something new. Not human anymore. Not planet. Something between. Reyna had seen them before leaving. Former soldiers and scientists who had chosen to remain, their bodies gradually adapting to the planet's biology, their minds linked to its vast consciousness while retaining their individual identities. A new form of life emerging from the contact between species. The birth of something unprecedented, she agreed softly. Something that might change how we understand intelligence throughout the galaxy. As the Pathfinder's engines engaged for the jump to faster-than-light travel, Reyna watched the blue-green world vanish from view. She had come to Nemesis seeking a potential colony and had instead found a paradigm shift. A reminder that intelligence could take forms humanity had never imagined, and that the universe still held wonders beyond their comprehension. They had deployed an army to a death world, and only one survivor had made it back. But that survivor had returned with something far more valuable than territorial claims or resource rights. She had returned with a new understanding of life itself, and the promise of a future where humans were not conquerors of strange new worlds, but partners in a vast, cosmic community. As the ship accelerated into FTL, Reyna knew that her encounter with Nemesis would forever change humanity's approach to expansion. The UEC would need to develop new protocols for identifying and communicating with non-traditional intelligence. The era of simply claiming worlds was over. "What will you do now, Commander?" Savick asked. "I'll deliver our report to Earth Command," Reyna replied. "Then I'm requesting reassignment to the Nemesis Research Station. There's so much more to learn." And the soldiers who became part of Planet. Reyna smiled. They're pioneers of a new frontier, not of space, but of consciousness itself. They might be the most important explorers humanity has ever produced. As stars streaked past the viewport, Reyna felt a profound sense of humility and wonder. They had entered Nemesis as conquerors and nearly paid the ultimate price. Instead, they were leaving as students, with lessons that would echo across human civilization for generations to come. The universe, it seemed, had much more to teach them than they had ever imagined.